Easter is the most important day for Catholics around the world, but in this quarantine, how do we celebrate the virtual Eucharist? Testing centers and makeshift hospitals are becoming more and more prevalent as the pandemic becomes more severe, but how will they work? For teenagers, being quarantined can be frustrating. See how some kids are socializing and keeping their stress down. Hello Wolverines, and welcome to this episode of WBLN. Let's get right into it. It's Holy Week, probably the most important time for us Catholics, but with the quarantine and fact that we can't physically go to Mass, we can still experience the virtual Eucharist. Ricardo Blanco has more.
The coronavirus and being quarantined has affected all of us in very specific ways, and the Catholic Church is no exception.
One of the most challenging things is the fact that for the first time, I think, ever that I'm aware of, we've had a situation where the churches have all been closed. And they've been closed not only by order of the Archbishop, but they've been closed by the order of the Pope, who's asked all the churches to close in order to be able to safeguard all the people. And it's the right thing to do. But of course, for the first time ever, people have not had access to the sacraments, like the confessions or going to Mass, and especially receiving communion. But the one thing that has been around for a very, very long time is what we call spiritual communion. And this has always been around because it was always understood by the church that you're not always going to have an opportunity to go to Mass. You may be traveling, you may be sick, you may be in the hospital, and so you can't go to Mass. So we've always had this thing called spiritual communion, which is, it's not the same as the physical communion of receiving the sacrament of the body of Christ. But it is in a very more profound spiritual way of being in communion with Christ, because it's not through any fault of your own that you can't be there. It's because something's going on, and in this case, it's the pandemic. And so we do that prayer, which is written by St. Alphonsus Liguori, which is a communion. It's a prayer for spiritual communion. It's realizing that I would want to be able to receive you physically, sacramentally, but I can't. And so at least for asking Jesus to come into your heart in a very profound way spiritually, so that there's at least a kind of a spiritual communion. It's kind of the difference between, establishing a relationship or deepening a relationship by hanging out with somebody and, you're able to put your arm around them or talk to them or shake their hand, hug or whatever. And now being able to establish that communion, that relationship over the phone or through any other kind of social media. So there's still communion. It's not as great as if you were able to pat somebody on the back. And I think that right now, this whole situation that we find ourselves in of being quarantined or in isolation helps us to understand that issue of spiritual communion even more, because we've learned to appreciate more what the physical presence and touch is all about.
As the Lenten season comes to an end, we can focus on one thing, and that's hope.
Easter's the most important feast day of the year, more important than anything else that we celebrate. And so it's going to be very strange to not celebrate Easter with a very large congregation physically present in the church or in the chapel in our case. And so it's going to be very, very different. But the fact is that doesn't matter what's going on out there, doesn't take away from the fact that the church celebrates the fact that Jesus Christ rose from the dead, which is what Easter Sunday is all about. And it should be a very joyous occasion because Lent is coming to the end. And it should be a reminder to us that even though that we're in the midst of this world suffering, we can pause from the suffering in order to be able to remember that there's not an illness, there's not a challenge, there's not death that can overcome the fact that Jesus Christ was victorious over death and over suffering, and that he rose from the dead. And that's the one element of hope that we need to celebrate, actually now more than ever, even if we're celebrating it in our homes, watching it on television or on our computers.
If you're looking for more information on virtual masses, the Archdiocese of Miami has been posting updates on their website. For WBLN, I'm Ricardo Blanco.
Thank you, Ricardo. Testing centers and makeshift hospitals are popping up all over Miami. It was announced this week that the Miami Beach Convention Center will be a site that will be used. Enrique Sori was able to speak to two alumni that are helping in this mission.
As COVID-19 cases keep growing in South Florida, testing centers are beginning to pop up more and more, specifically one in C.B. Smith Park in Broward County. Captain Peter Perez is on site to help regulate the testing site.
So this is solely a swabbing site, which means individuals come in their vehicles, they get swabbed, the samples get sent to a lab, the lab tests them, and they get the results back. At the moment, we're taking individuals that are 65 or older, first responders, medical professionals, and individuals that are already showing symptoms. I have a component of 84 soldiers and 20 civilian nurses that do the screening, and the medics do the swabbing. Right now, we have enough supplies to last for the next 5 days, and more supplies are on their way.
I was also able to speak with Eddie Cora, President and CEO of Miami-Dade County Youth Fair, to see what is happening on their grounds.
We've got a 250-bed field hospital that's over off Coral Way, what used to be our animal tent. They just converted it, put a floor down, cleaned it up, and now it's a field hospital. We've done 2 food drives already on the fairgrounds with Feeding South Florida and several of the state representatives out here. We're looking to plan a 3rd one. And later today, we have a walkthrough for the new testing site that's going to go on at the fairgrounds. That should be opening tomorrow morning. I know the county's already taking applications or making appointments for it. So we went from being an empty field to real busy, real quick. The testing site's just a testing site, just like it is everywhere else. The thing is, they wanted something centrally located that could serve the Kendall, Westchester, Doral, South Miami. There's a big swath of people. There's a big population density here that needed to be served, so they're putting it here. Between the state, the county, and the universities, hospital, school of medicine, and school of nursing, they're pretty well stocked for that right now. I think they're planning on an 8-week process, so they're good for there. Hopefully the manufacturers are coming online, and that gives enough for everybody else to get also. But right now we feel we're in good shape.
If you do get symptoms, remember to self-isolate and quarantine yourself for 14 days. If you do decide to get tested, remember it is free to everyone. Reporting for WBLN, I'm Enrique Soria.
Thank you, Enrique. As the days turn into weeks, more and more kids are becoming restless and are taking to online gaming to socialize and to relieve some stress. Here's Lucas Consuegra with the story.
The coronavirus outbreak was something that has completely taken our community by storm, restricting our ability to carry out our daily routine, including school, attending mass, participating in sporting events, and many other activities. One of the ways that people are dealing with this time during the quarantine is playing video games.
Obviously, being cooped up in your house for so long is rough, but there's a couple ways to get your mind off it. Go outside, whether that be walking, biking, or getting exercise, running around. But my preferred mode of getting my mind off reality is playing video games with my friends, just connecting online, because I don't get to see them at school, which kind of sucks. So the best alternative, in my opinion, is just getting online with them and messing around on different video games.
Now we know what you're thinking, that too much screen time can be harmful, and yes, too much of one thing can be. But a study on the relationship between online video game involvement and gaming-related friendships among emotionally sensitive individuals in 2014 concluded that, taken together, the results indicate that the high ES referring to one's ability to interpret the no-verbal and emotional cues of others, time online game players are using online gaming spaces differently from their less emotionally sensitive counterparts, and that they're experiencing tangible differences in their friendships network. This suggests that mediated social spaces, particularly online games, hold the potential to be socially advantageous for emotionally sensitive individuals by allowing them to overcome their traditional social difficulties, generate new friendships, and strengthen old ones. For emotionally sensitive players, online gaming spaces do seem to be new third places where individuals can meet new people and gather with old friends. Again, parents and doctors are right in telling us to go outside and disconnect and have some fun. For WBLN, I'm Lucas Consuegra.
What's up, Wolverines? Here are your sports for this week. 5-time NBA champion Kobe Bryant will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. The announcement was made on ESPN Saturday. This was Bryant's first year of eligibility. The 18-time NBA All-Star winner played his entire 20-year career with the Los Angeles Lakers. He also won a notable 2 Olympic gold medals in 2008 and 2012. Other notable names being elected into the Hall of Fame this year are Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Tamika Catchings. Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter Gianna were sadly part of a group of 9 people who were killed in January in a helicopter crash in California. Now, with the NBA season suspended due to the coronavirus, NBA 2K is hosting the 2K Players Tournament. The tournament is being played on Xbox One, and the winner will win a $100,000 charity donation to their name. So far, Kevin Durant, Hassan Whiteside, Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, DeMarcus Cousins, and Michael Porter Jr. and Harrison Barnes have all been eliminated from the tournament. Now, that's all for your sports. Have a wonderful Easter break. Back to you, Carlos.
Thank you, Matthew. That's our show for today. Remember to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We leave you with a song written and performed by Brother Mike Martinez, inspired by the reality we are living right now. Happy Easter, stay safe, stay home, and stay golden, Wolverines.
Breaking news, Rome's Catholic churches have now been ordered to close, all of them, because of the coronavirus. This is a move believed to be unprecedented in modern times.
Continuiamo a pregare insieme, tanta gente che soffre questa epidemia.
COVID-19. At least 181,000 cases.
The whole economy has come to a screeching halt.
What does courage look like?
Because this might be the last resort people have.
46 million students.
You cannot fight a fire blindfolded.
Deaths more than 7,000.
Instituting a nationwide lockdown.
There's no guarantee of
thousands of people are rushing to
the clock is ticking for us.
The church ain't closed, it's just a building door. That's why I'm singing for the sick and poor who need us more. Christ's body is alive, getting harder to ignore. Cause we see him outdoors while we hiding indoors. Mask up, where my saints at? Get up off the couch now, pray up what you bout now. Thinking that the Christian gonna falter. Not when our strength comes straight up off the altar. Ain't no recession that can halter you. Eucharistic processions, drive-through confessions, the faith we professing. Devil attempting to tempt us, feels like we just now have no blessing. The baptismal font is in drought, the holy water's emptied out. We still wash our hands from the virus, though can't wash our hands from the violence. No doubt the sin of silence, the kind of kindness of Pontius Pilate. Like,
if they don't go to work, they don't get paid. If they don't get paid, they don't have food. We need a massive effort right now, from local philanthropy to houses of worship, local municipalities, the state municipal government, county government, and the federal government.
It's not just doctors and nurses. It's lab techs, it's transporters, it's janitorial staff, it's food services. They are all at
can't touch your face. But how about all the other monsters that the world's gotta face? 8,400 children die of hunger every single day. 26 million refugees in the globe. 37 million infected with HIV that we know. 785 million don't have access to clean water. And yes, today we pray for all those in every nation affected by COVID-19 in 2020. Those at risk, we ask for protection for the many. And those who are afraid, we say, peace be with you.
Che abbiano il coraggio di uscire e andare dagli ammalati, portando la forza della parola di Dio e l'Eucaristia.